There are 10 games on Friday. Let's take a look at them. Let's preview them. Who are we going to add for fantasy basketball off the waiver wire? Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and my last paycheck bounced. My children need wine. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free and we are available on all platforms. You can give a thumb up, a comment. You can subscribe on all of the formats. Also, make sure you're checking out LockedOnDaily.com, and you can find the best newsletter for your favorite team over there, LockedOnDaily.com. Sign up, be an everydayer on this show and with your favorite team as well. Of course, it's your team every day. It's the Locked On Podcast Network. What else do we do every up? What we do here, though, on this show is is I'm talking about Friday. We've got 10 games across the league. It's International Carrot Day, so if you're into big, not necessarily big. Well, I know most of you know the story, the orange carrot story, how carrots didn't used to be orange and then they got genetically bred out so that they were only orange to suit the orange royal family in the Netherlands or something like that. I believe it. Anyway, celebrate International Carrots and celebrate the return of white carrots and purple carrots and red carrots. Because, if there's one thing that we don't hate anybody except the Dutch and Canadians. I'm joking. I love Canadians. Dutch people, joking as well. What are we talking about? We're talking about the games across the league. Let's just get straight into talking about some schedule stuff. How are we going to play that to begin things? It's a pretty easy way to do it because we're just going to start talking about the back-to-backs, and there's quite a few of them at this point in the week. We've got 4 teams that head into Friday on a back-to-back. They are the Warriors, which I don't think there'll be rest there, but we watch it. The Lakers, Rui Hachimura on the second game will be one to watch because that will bump Jackson Hayes. Not really worried that much about LeBron or Luka. The Blazers, I'm probably a little bit worried whether Jeremy Grant's going to be able to play the back-to-back. And the Raptors, of course. This is where the Raptors one is going to be. We know what's going to happen with Barrett and Pirtle and Quickly. The question here to me is, what do they do with Barnes? Does he play the back-to-back? Or will he actually sit a game here? We watch that one. And then Friday into Saturday, it's Dallas, it's Detroit, and it's the Clippers. And all 3 of those teams are important. Why is it important for Detroit? Well, Cade and Tobias Harris have been out. So I would think that Cade and Toby sit on Friday, and if they're going to play, they play Saturday. The Clippers, they're in the middle of a 5-game in 7-day period. It's been extremely busy. Kawhi is going to sit one of these games. I actually think he sits the front game of this back-to-back just to ease some of that 5 and 7 load that there's been across the whole team. But I don't know that. But I am working under the impression that Kawhi does not play on the first game of this back-to-back. But again, we will find out. And then for the Mavericks, because they've got 3 big men who are returning off serious injuries, and they're probably not going to play all the games. Anthony Davis, Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford. Now, trying to figure out which ones they play is impossible. The other one is PJ Washington, who missed the last game for illness. So you could have just an array of guys in or out, and who remains in will become interesting, and then who is out becomes less interesting, obviously. But would they sit all of them at the same time? I doubt it, but who knows? Do you get one cameo Kai Jones 30-minute game, or does he play 12 across both games? I don't know. And I would love to be able to get that info. Unfortunately, I just don't think we're going to. I think they'll list guys as questionable heading into Friday's game, and we won't find out until well before, and then we make our adjustments for Saturday after that. But that's the struggle. It is an annoying part of the week, especially with Dallas, with all those guys returning. There's just no way that Gafford or Lively or Davis, there's no way they play the back-to-back. They play one of the games, but no chance they're playing both. It would make no sense to do that. In terms of the other schedule stuff, from Friday through to Thursday next week, there's one team that plays 2 games, the Orlando Magic. Obviously, you are dropping the Magic now. After they play on Thursday, their week is over. That is an important thing to note because, again, if your league ends on Sunday, you do not need to be holding on to these players. It is done for the Magic guys after Thursday's game. That's important. It is also important to note that after Friday's game, we have got no one extra who is done. The only team that doesn't play on the weekend is the Magic, who also don't play Friday. So we don't have any other teams joining our list of droppable teams across that time. What about, if we look at some chunk stuff over the next 5 days. So we're talking Friday through to Tuesday. That is including a couple of 10-game days, which I am counting as streamable, but not the 11 games Sunday. So there's actually only 2 teams that play 3 games in the next 5 days that don't include Sunday. It's the Clippers and the Pistons. So I am looking at Derek Jones. I am looking at Chris Dunn, because we're working under the assumption, the fairly good assumption, that Kawhi will not play in one of those games. So there's a bump there for both of those players. In Detroit, it's harder because we don't know about Harris, we don't know about Cade. We also know that Isaiah Stewart is suspended for one of those games, but you could get some Tim Hardaway in there. Malik Beasley's got a nice little scheduled chunk coming up. Dennis Schroeder, of course, but Schroeder's value goes from 32 minutes to 24 minutes when Cade plays. It's a little bit all over the place. The other guys that I like who've only got 2 games over that period, Ryan Rollins, Jose Alvarado, Kelly Olynyk, and Jared Butler, although I'm less certain on Butler, but yeah, with the Sixers are just moving guys in and out, moving rotations, moving lineups. It is a tough one to pick, but his ability to get 6 or 7 assists, even in 23 minutes, Jared Butler, is really useful. And when you're looking at that sort of numbers, especially in a category league, it is hard to find that level of production consistently. If we have a look at the contract tracking stuff, a lot of 10-day ones to pay attention to here. Cole Swider has only 1 game left on his 10-day contract. We will they can re-sign him for another 10-day, I believe, and that'll take him through to the end of the season. The reason I say he's got 1 day left is he will, it doesn't matter if he plays or not, but a day elapses on Thursday, and they play Thursday or Friday. So he's currently, at the moment, I'm recording this before Thursday starts, he's got 2 games available, but that won't be the case, will it? He'll be able to play Friday, then they'd have to sign him onto a new contract to let him run the rest of the season. He's playing like 20 minutes, 18 minutes a night at the moment. In Charlotte, Wendell Moore Jr. has 3 games left. In Dallas, Kai Jones has 3 left. Obviously, he's not really a hold, except what if we get one of those really random big games across the Friday, Saturday back-to-back? It's hard to judge, and I wouldn't want to bank on it. Kylor Kelly is, again, it's a player. It sounds like he's a character from He-Man, but that is okay. He is here, and he is signing with the Pelicans. And he's on a 10-day. And the reason I don't have how many games he's got left is there are fewer than 10 days left in the NBA season. So he can play all the way through. Kylor Kelly is a 7-foot guy. He played for the Mavericks. He didn't play very much or very well. What is interesting is that they brought in a center. What does that mean? Do you start thinking, okay, are they just not going to play Kelly Olynyk? Maybe. They've still got Misi. They've still got Makovic. Those guys are available. I just want to see what they do there with Kelly. And the other one there is Lord Alfred Payton, who has got 4 games left on his second 10-day contract. So he cannot play all the way through to the end of the season. He's been useful enough, but I don't think they'd sign him to a rest of season deal for 1 day. I doubt that, just to maintain his bird rights. But he is at least someone to pay attention to there because he's got those few games left, and that won't last forever. I'm going to look at some injury statuses that we need to be aware of for Friday, where there are 10 games on Friday. Nick Smith Jr., not that we love him, but there is some threes and free throw percentage stream ability, but if he is out, it just bumps other guys up. I don't expect that Damian Bohr is going to play. I think that was a pretty significant injury. It looked to be anyway, and we'll find out more on that. Ben Mathurin, his absence obviously boosts other guys up. If he is in, he's an interesting points guy. Cade Cunningham and Toby Harris. I almost called Cade Cunningham something very different there because I almost substituted the first 3 letters of his surname to the first couple of letters of his first name, which wouldn't have sounded very good if I had have called him that. But I don't think that Cade plays on Friday. I don't think that Toby Harris plays on Friday. Harris with this Achilles thing that's caused him to be in and out over the last week. We need to watch the Celtics as well because I believe that they are just going to sit someone every game. I don't know who. Last game it was Holiday and Porzingis and Horford. Is it going to be Jaylen Brown again? Will Tatum get a day off? Will White get a day off? I don't know. I don't think that they're going to have full... Nobody's actually hurt on this team at the moment. Well, actually, that's not true. Jaylen Brown is hurt. His knee is not right. No one's injured, but there's no way they're going in with everybody available. I just don't know who it's going to be that they sit. They play the Suns, then the Wizards, and again, there's no shot that all of those guys are available for both of those games. We also get the word that Bradley Beal is going to return for the Phoenix Suns. So he'll be back. I don't think he's going to be playing 33 minutes a night, but what does it do to Gillespie? What does it do to O'Neal? What does it do to Allen? Especially with Durant obviously sidelined. In Chicago, after they listed him questionable over a week ago, Lonzo Ball, maybe it's time for him to return. Again, these lying sacks of shit in that front office told her, after Lonzo said, I probably need a week and a bit to get ready, they said, no, he's questionable, and then he's doubtful, and then he's doubtful, and then he's doubtful, and then he's doubtful, when we all knew. We didn't fall for it. No banana in the tailpipe here, Bulls. We knew that he wasn't playing. Who were you fooling? Nobody. Maybe if you're going to lie, tell your players to shut up then, or tell your social media team to shut up. Because they just tell us what the actual truth is, but you idiots, when you put the report in, you say something completely different. Yeah, no wonder you're so well respected. Anthony Simons, he missed the last game with a forearm contusion, which honestly, it sounds fake. It's probably not. Contusions can be quite bad, but that just sounds like, yeah, you're not playing. I don't know that. It's also the Ides of March for Jeremy Grant, so even though we're in April, we're going to find something else for April. There's no good historical Shakespearean reference for April as far as I know. Hey, any Shakespearean scholars out there, tell me what I can say for April. Is there anything? Probably not. Doesn't matter. Jeremy Grant's not playing. We know this. DeAndre Ayton's not playing. We know this. Also, I tweeted something out today regarding DeAndre Ayton, because I know that Denny Avdia is the flavor of the month. He's like a top 5 fantasy player over the last few weeks. And I plotted the ranks of Denny Avdia and DeAndre Ayton next to each other. And it's wild. Whenever you see Ayton's numbers rise because the rank goes lower, and by lower I mean a bigger number, so he goes to 150th or 200th because he's missing games. And then when you see season end, Avdia's rank improves significantly, and Avdia jumped to be a top 50 player when DeAndre Ayton was done. It's almost an unbelievable mirror that all of Avdia. I thought Avdia's production would have been Jeremy Grant, and I tried to marry those two up. It wasn't as accurate. It wasn't as interesting. The fact that Avdia plays big games when Ayton's not there is really interesting for next season. What does that mean for Avdia if the only way that he was putting up these elite numbers was because DeAndre Ayton was missing? And Ayton's not been traded. So I don't know. That was interesting to me. Go check out the graph. Anyway, Ayton's out. In Oklahoma City, Aaron Wiggins and Alex Caruso missed the last game. They will sit somebody. Will it be Wallace? Will it be Holmgren? Will it be Hartenstein? Will it be Wiggins? Will it be Caruso? I don't know. Somebody's going to miss the game. I don't know who. And for the Cavs, they're also at risk of a Garland or a Mitchell or a Mobley or an Allen or a Strus or a Jerome absence. They're going to just sit guys because they're all locking in, getting themselves ready for not for the fantasy playoffs. They don't care about that. The real playoffs. The Spurs sat a lot of guys last game. It was Devin Vassell, it was Keldon Johnson, there was Jeremy Sohan out. Charles Bassey missed both games of the back-to-back for injury maintenance. That doesn't sound good when you come back, play 10 minutes, and then you injury maintenance for 2 games. Yuck. We'll see what happens with them, but that is, Keldon, Vassell, and Sohan all up in the air whether they're going to be available to play or not. And then we've got another bunch of things there. I think that most of the ones like Peyton Watson and Aaron Gordon, Nikola Jokic are all going to be fine for the Nuggets, but Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. are going to be somewhat interesting players. I have no idea why I've got Paolo Banchero written there. I think I had a stroke this morning while I was writing some of this stuff. Why is Paolo Banchero there? He's not injured, so we do not need to worry about that. It meant to say Michael Porter Jr. I must have been completely distracted. So yeah, shout out to Paolo Banchero, who's definitely not playing on Friday, but the status is Michael Porter Jr. because he's away for personal reasons while Murray missed both games with the hamstring. John Kuminga could return on Thursday, so I'm going to check his status for Friday. Jordan Hawkins, not that we care that much about Hawkins from a fantasy perspective, but if he is out, that means more for Bruce Brown to do, and for Keon Brooks and Antonio Reeves. Kawhi Leonard, I expect to sit, and then like I mentioned earlier, we've got the Mavericks big men, Anthony Davis, Derek Lively, and Daniel Gafford, who is in and who is out there. We've got Yahoo points and ESPN points streaming options coming up. We're going to talk about those, plus category league stuff. Today's episode, though, is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Daylight savings has snuck up. It's here. It's now. And you've lost that hour of sleep and you can't get it back. Well, you can, but that's in like 6 months when daylight savings ends. So 5 Hour Energy might be the thing to have your back. The extra sunshine means that it's more time for fun, but you might need that little boost to power through. You might be up late watching basketball, setting your fantasy alarm, setting an alarm to get up at 3 a.m. Eastern time to make a waiver wire pickup for your Yahoo default championship. Nah, nothing wrong about any of those settings, but that's okay because 5 Hour Energy is your assistant fantasy manager. You can get that in there, get that energy, get your boost, win yourselves through to a championship, plus so many flavors. And you can get them at 5hourenergy.com. Over 15 flavors to choose from: watermelon, blue raspberry, peach mango, tropical burst. You can even build your own 12-pack or 24-pack delivered right to your door. And if you need one right now, just trot on down to your local convenience or grocery store and they will have them there, bang, ready to go. So stock up today with 5-Hour Energy and stay energized. Today's episode is also brought to you by Wayfair. Spring is here and, well, not for me, it's not. Actually, it is for you though. And you're ready to get your home sorted. Is home project, I don't know how you want to say it, season. You can be refreshing a room, it could be a whole house. I don't care what it is. Wayfair is going to have all of that stuff that you need to get it done. It's the best kept secret for all things home improvement. Small updates like stylish cabinet hardware or upgrades like new vanities or sinks or even outdoor lighting. Wayfair has quality products for every budget and they're free and fast shipping. Made it so easy. No hauling heavy items from the store. Wayfair makes home improvement easy. Get started at wayfair.com. That is WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. All right, let's get into the streaming part of this now. We'll start with Yahoo and ESPN points leagues. Names are pretty similar across both as per usual. Now I'm double checking myself in case I've just chucked a random Paulo Banchero in any of these lists. I like Kevin Huerter again here. My expectation is that Lonzo doesn't play. Now, if Lonzo does play, that does impact Huerter a bit, but I'm pretty certain if Ball is available, we won't get 30 minutes of Lonzo Ball. That's just not going to happen. You'll play 22 or 23, but it will impact Huerter a little bit, but probably will hurt like Dalen Terry a little bit more. I do like Jose Alvarado, and we are all getting at the moment from Isaiah Collier, with Markkanen done, with Collins done, with Sexton playing limited minutes. We're seeing Collier go from 29 to 32 minutes and a little bit of extra usage. So I do like Isaiah Collier there, who's been dropped in some leagues, rightfully so, but a nice little bump coming at the moment. Jackson Hayes. Anytime I reference Jackson Hayes on this show, it's because I'm working under the assumption that Rui Hachimura is not playing on Friday because he's coming back off that knee thing. They're still ramping him up. His minutes are still low, and he hasn't played back-to-backs. If Rui Hachimura plays back-to-backs, scrap Jackson Hayes. That's easy. Bryce Sensabaugh is, he was bad last game, but the minutes were great, and if he didn't shoot 20%, we would have been fine. And he won't shoot 20% most nights. What I loved was the minutes. And there's no real reason for me to think that that's going to drop significantly. It will vary and alter, but not significantly. And the last name on the list is KJ Simpson, a guy for the deeper leagues, a guy for the double onyxes. Kenneth Simpson Jr. is a player who's going to play 30 minutes a night as the Hornets starting point guard most of these nights, so go for it. He's probably worth having a look at in majority, or not necessarily majority, but a lot of different formats. On ESPN, we go to similar names, but I'm going to start in a different order. We'll start with Alvarado, followed by Jackson Hayes, and then Isaiah Collier, and then Aaron Nesmith. Now, Nesmith would jump up this list. He'd become a really strong Yahoo points guy as well if Benedict Mathurin is out again. At this point, I'm working on the assumption that Mathurin is playing, but I don't know that. But even in ESPN leagues, if Mathurin plays, Nesmith looks pretty good. Also, anytime I reference Derek Jones on this show, it's because we're working under the assumption that Kawhi Leonard is out. So my assumption is Kawhi Leonard is out. My assumption is that Cade Cunningham is out. My assumption is Tobias Harris is out. And my assumption is that Rui Hachimura is out. So that's where we're assuming things. And then for Toronto, the assumption that we're making, given what the games are on Thursday versus Friday, the assumption that we're making is that, let me check, that Barrett is out on Friday. By the way, with Scotty Barnes, they did officially list him questionable for Thursday with a finger joint issue. Him actually appearing questionable on the first game of back-to-back means he's sitting. Feel very confident that he's sitting if that's the way they're listing him. But that means he should be available on Friday, Barnesy. Just be aware of that. So yeah, Derek Jones and then Bryce Sensabaugh for ESPN points leagues is another way that we can go there. Let's go to category leagues now and start with the points and threes combination. I do like Fanapants Kevin Huerter here, who, again, has had some bad games because he's Kevin Huerter. This is what happens when you try to trust someone like Kevin Huerter, but there's no reason he can't be a 15-point plus guy with 3 triples. I mean, there is. He's Kevin Huerter, but apart from that, there's no real reason. Now, do you want to risk it and try your Taylor Horton-Tuckers again in one of the more outlier performances of all time that he had last game? Because there was no Lonzo Ball, there was no Javon Carter, there was no Dalen Terry, and there was somebody else that was out, so they went to Taylor Horton-Tucker. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it in a million years, but if you want to go the Taylor Horton-Tucker route, do it. I'd much rather go with Kevin Huerter. I'd much rather go with Bryce Sensabaugh, who, again, the opportunity was there. He played the minutes. The shots didn't go in, but the opportunity is what I like. Jose Alvarado, again, a relatively secure role. Is he going to cook? Yeah, maybe, but is he going to be a bad shooter? Almost definitely. But will you get enough volume? Probably. One of my assumptions again here is that Kawhi sits the first of a back-to-back. So therefore, we expect a bump for Bogdan Bogdanovic. And Bogdan Bogdanovic, yes, it's probably only shallow leagues he's available. He should have been dropped in 12s. But if he is around, look, just stream him in for this game. We'll stream him in for the back-to-back and see what you get. I'll put Tim Hardaway there because we're working under the Cade and Harris absence. So Tim had like 4 games in a row of 20 points? I'm going to double check that because I believe that's so. And honestly, for as much crap as Tim Hardaway gets, rightfully so, maybe we should celebrate when he does something good and score 20 points in a row. Let's have a look. Let's double check that. Looking at Tim Hardaway's game log is pretty crazy. It's 3 games in a row. He had 23 points, 20 points, 32 points, 12 points, and the game before that, 0, 10, 8, 11, 10, 11, 13, 6, 7, 13, 9, 10, 9, 6, 18, 9. Anyway, the last time he scored 20 points was the 5th of February, outside of the last 3 games. So it's risky. It's risky to worry or to rely upon Tim Hardaway, but it's 3 in a row. So shout out to you, Tim. The other one there to watch, which is, again, it's risky, but it's a deeper league, available everywhere sort of player, Jaden Hardy. We know that Brandon Williams won't play. Hardy could play 10 minutes, or he could play 25, and he could take 20 shots, or he could just be completely missing. But when you're in deeper leagues that this team plays, and they might be without AD, who is a lot of shots, and what if PJ's out as well? It's a lot more shots, and someone needs to generate them. So deeper leagues, you might look to Jaden Hardy just in that particular spot. We're going to talk assists and steals as streamers. We're going to talk boards and blocks and percentages when we come back. Today's episode, though, is brought to you by Open Phone. When you're running a small business, you're wearing a lot of hats. Your personal phone turns into your business phone. Before you know it, you're juggling customer calls all day and all night. As your team grows, it can become impossible to manage everything with just your personal number. That is where Open Phone comes in, is the #1 business phone system designed to help you keep your work and personal life separate. For just $15 a month, you get complete transparency and visibility into everything that is happening with your business phone number. Open Phone works through an app on your phone or on your computer, and it integrates with tools like HubSpot and hundreds of others. It uses AI-powered call transcripts and summaries, so you get a rundown of your calls and your action items as soon as you hang up. So if you miss a call as well, don't worry. They got an automated system there to send out those messages so you never miss an opportunity to engage. Right now, OpenPhone is offering 20% off your first 6 months when you go to openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. That is openphone.com/LockedOnNBA for 20% off 6 months. You know what I realized? I'm trying to say this ad. Sorry, I know we're in the call to action for OpenPhone, but when you say month, you say month. But if I say months, it sounds weird to say months. Like I say months, which is like Nelson. Months. Yeah, 6 months. Bad. That's bad English. Anyway, openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. And if you have existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge. All right, we can get in now and look at the rest of the streaming options for category leagues, including assists and steals, which is going to be the first place that we land here, because there are quite a few options, and usually during the regular season, we don't get many of these guys, these assists and steals, or assist guys in particular appearing, but there is quite a few at the moment. Jose Alvarado is one of them. We've spoken about him quite a bit. You've got Fanapants Kevin Huerter. Is he a great assist guy? But not really. 4 assists and 2 steals, 5 assists and 2 steals, 3 and 1. It's enough. There's a little bit there, and we love the minutes upside. KJ Simpson, a little bit different of a player, obviously. He might score 4 points, but he might have 7 assists and 2 steals as a 30-minute starting point guard for the Charlotte Hornets. Chris Dunn should do a little bit more, working under the assumption that Kawhi Leonard is out. Can he play 27 minutes and get 5 assists and, honestly, 5 steals? Is possible for him. I've got TJ McConnell. This is what he does. He doesn't do it. He does field goal percentage as well, but his assists and steals, that's easy. And then Alfred Payton for the deeper leagues might get 4 or 5 assists. You might get 7. You might get 2 steals. You can throw Matisse Thybulle in there. Obviously, you lean on him more for steals. And if Anthony Simons is out, Thybulle's value goes up even higher. Although, you do have to watch the back-to-back. He did play their back-to-back the other day, but I'm not 100% convinced that he plays on this one. But we watch that and we see where it goes. For boards and blocks, Jackson Hayes is at the top of this list. Why? Because I expect Rui Hachimura to be out. If he isn't out, if Rui Hachimura plays, then I'm not interested in Hayes. I am interested in Paul Reed. Why? Isaiah Stewart's out. He's suspended. He's not playing. Done. Easy. Sorted. He's not there. So Reed, in 18 minutes, which he probably gets, could have 2 blocks, could have 6 boards. We know that he gets defensive numbers a lot, so he's interesting. Because the options for boards and blocks are actually way thinner than they are for assists at this point in the season, weirdly. Steven Adams, the risk with Adams is that he just doesn't play. But I think because Dylan Brooks is out suspended, it means that Eason plays a little bit more at the 3, so does Amen Thompson, meaning that there's more opportunity for the big Şengün and Adams lineups together. Ross Iguodaro is always risky-ish, but I do think that you can get 20-plus minutes out of him. Karlo Makovic, they never want to pump him to 30 minutes, which is frustrating, but he can get you 2 blocks and 7 rebounds. And then the other one is Peyton Watson, who I'm working under the assumption that all the guys come back for Denver with a question mark over old mate Michael Porter Jr., a.k.a. Paolo Banchero, or Jamal Murray. They're the ones that I'm not sure about, but Watson should be back, and he's playing more minutes than Russell Westbrook most nights anyway. So I do like Watson, especially for his block ability. We know that. That is what he is. He's a blocks guy. To finish it off with percentages, for field goal percentage, it's Jackson Hayes, and you know the caveat on Jackson Hayes. I've got Derek Jones there, which again is a bump because Kawhi is out, and then Obi Toppin in a matchup against, I believe the Pacers play someone absolutely dreadful. Let me double check on that. I think they might play Utah. They play someone bad, I know that much. So they're going to have opportunities to get some of their extra run. Yeah, they play the Jazz. So they're going to get maybe some extra production from their bench in that one. And then for free throws, we go sensible. We've got Bogdan Bogdanovic and the GOAT himself, 20-point per game legend, Tim Hardaway Jr. Get your carrots out as we get ready for Friday, April the 4th. That was a streaming show. We'll be back to recap Thursday's action later on in the day. Hit the subscribe button across all different formats. Stick around with us. We've got some stuff cooking up for the off-season, absolutely. Team reviews, season reviews, busts and sleeper reviews, ideas on league formats and analysis on fantasy playoffs and all of that different stuff. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.